What's up, guys? Today we're talking about the new offerings from Eyra. The main focus of the video is actually the Phoenix guitar amp, but I happen to have two of their custom cabinets loaded with their custom speakers in the studio, so I'm going to be using the amp as a head and switch out the cabinets throughout the video to let you guys hear all the amazing stuff from Eyra. The amp itself is pretty straightforward. We have volume, tone, and gain. On the back, we actually have the secret sauce, which is the level control. This actually lets us control how hard we're hitting the output section of the amp. It's very, very useful. I actually use the level control more than any other knob on here. You can bypass it completely, and with the level control all the way up, it's exactly the same as it being bypassed. Having said that, I prefer to just set the level control about a quarter, maybe a third of the way up to get the edge of breakup tone, because on the front over here, I have the volume around 2.5, the tone's on 5, and the gain is around 2.5. For me, it's very common on this amp to set the volume and the gain the same. It just seems to work. I'm not sure what it is, but it does sound great. The cabinets I have are a 1x15 and a 2x12. Again, these are custom cabinets from Eyra with custom speakers designed by Tim. They sound great, and let's get to it. So what I want to do is I want to show you guys how I actually use the amplifier, and then I want to show you guys what the amplifier can do. So I'm a session player. I get hired to play on songs all the time here at my studio, and I need to be able to change sounds on the fly. So I set the amp to edge of breakup, and I use different overdrive and other pedals to change the sound, because if a client wants something different, I don't have time to go mess with all these amps behind me and everything and find different sounds. I mean, if we need to do that, we can, but usually I try to stick to one or two different amps depending on the genre, and then use the pedals to actually get the sound. So I have the amp right now with the volume on 2.5, the gain on 2.5, the tone in the middle, and the level control about a quarter of the way up. I actually find the level control, for my taste, I have it between 1/4 and 1/3 of the way up. This is a very much edge of breakup sound. It takes pedals incredibly well. Let's see what that sounds like. So when I dig in, I get that nice edge of breakup sound I was talking about. When I play soft, I was actually getting a super clean sound, which is exactly what I'm looking for in most amplifiers. That's very important to me. Dynamics are a big part of music, and being able to change it on the fly really means a lot as a session player. I need to be able to play lead parts and solo and hit it hard, but also back things off, all without even thinking about it. It's just part of the way I play. That's one of the reasons I don't use this amp fully distorted, because I need to have dynamics in my playing. If you're playing something like classic rock or heavy rock, you're going to want heavy distortion a lot of the time. You're probably going to want to use some kind of boost pedal or something to get more distortion for your solos. But if you're playing fairly clean, those dynamics are incredibly important. Let's talk about some pedals. So, as I said, I do session work. I play on a lot of country and rock, so a go-to pedal is an ODR1. Let's see how the amp handles that. Well, it sounds like the Nobles. I mean, the amp is allowing the pedal to shine. The Nobles, of course, is set pretty much flat. All the knobs are at noon, but the Nobles is known for that mid-forward, highs rolled off kind of sound, which is exactly what you just heard. On the contrary, let's try something completely different. Let's go to a distortion. That is completely different. Again, the amp is allowing the pedals to shine. That's exactly what I am looking for as a session player. I need to be able to switch pedals on the fly and not have to go back to the amp and try to dial things in and make it work. The pedals need to just work out the gate. Let's try something crazy. Let's go. This is an old vintage new fuzz I have. Again, the amp lets the pedal shine completely. Yes, there is probably a little bit of coloration from the amp itself, which is what you would want, going for the edge of breakup and not super clean kind of sound. But most of what we're hearing is the pedals coming through. This is perfect. But I am going to show you the amp doesn't only do that. This amp does a lot more stuff. Before I do that though, let's switch over to the 2x12 and see how different it sounds with the same pedals playing the same riff. The only thing different is the cabinet. The amp settings are exactly the same pedals, same guitar. We have now switched to the 212 instead of the 115. And let's just hear what that sounds like. It's still the edge of breakup sound I like, but the tonal characteristic is completely different. The speaker really does make a big difference. Let's go ahead and try out the Noble's ODR1. Same thing. It still sounds like a Noble's. The highs are rolled off, the mid is pushed forward, but the sound is way different with the 212 versus the 115. Let's go to the Distortion. I actually like that sound a lot. I would use that on a rock track. Okay, last up, let's go to the New Fuzz. Need I say more? The cabinet makes a huge difference. Depending on your taste, you might like the 212. That's totally fine. For my taste, I like the 115 for everything except for the Distortion and the New Fuzz. But again, there's not really a right answer. That just comes down to what you're feeling. And ultimately, for me, as a session player, it comes down to serving the song. All those are very usable sounds. So the level control I've been using is actually technically part of the effects loop. So I'm going to bypass the effects loop, and you're going to see how drastically different it sounds. Before I do that, I'll go ahead and give you one reference. So level control right now is about between a quarter and a third of the way up. So let's go ahead and hear that. There's our reference. Now let's just bypass the effects loop over here. It's right there. As you can see, the tone is really the same, but there is so much more distortion. This is wide open with the effects loop bypassed, which means that we're not touching the level control at all. Next thing I want to do is set the level control to about halfway up, and I have not touched the knobs on the front. So let's just see what that does. There's no pedals, it's just the amp. So that's more gain than I had earlier, but nowhere near is the maximum amount of gain. Because again, the actual gain control is about 2.5 right now. I want to go switch cabinets to the 115, and then I will do the same thing I just did, and then we will play with the actual knobs on the front for a minute, and that's the video. This is the same settings we just left off from the 2x12 back on the 115, and let's see what it sounds like. Let's go ahead and bypass the effects loop and hear the amp wide open. So the 2x12 and the 115 sound incredibly different. But what's crazy is we have now shown how much gain the amp has. We haven't even touched the gain control or the volume control at all. It's still on 2.5 on both of them. The tone control is actually a treble booster if you go past 8. Up until then, it's always more of a high cut. Starting of 1 being the most dramatic high cut, and then slowly reintroducing the highs until you get to about 8, which is normal, well, without the high cut engaged, and then it starts to go to a treble booster, 9 and 10. Next thing I want to do is go ahead and put the level control somewhere in the middle, and then just start messing with the knobs on the front. And after I do it with the 115, I'll do the same thing with the 2x12, and that's the video, guys. This thing is incredibly versatile, and I really encourage you to check it out. Okay, I have the level control about 2/3 or so of the way up, and I'm just gonna play. I'm not gonna do a lot of talking. I'm just gonna go ahead and play and change some knobs. After I get done, I'll tell you what I did, and then we'll go over to the 2x12, and then that's the video. The last thing I want to do with the 115 is to basically dime it. Right now, I have the volume at 5, gain at 5, and the tone all the way up. I'm going to go ahead and turn all the knobs up to 10, and this really starts getting into a fuzz type of sound. Then I'll go plug up the 212 and try the same thing over there, and then we're done. As you can see, this amp has lots of gain on tap, because remember, the level control is still only about 2/3 of the way up. I'm going to go ahead and plug up the 2x12 and do a similar thing, and then we're done. Alright, we're back on the 212. I have everything set halfway up. The level control is in the same spot from a minute ago. And we're just going to see what happens. Here we go. As you can see, this amp provides tons of sonic possibilities. My favorite use case is definitely using it on Edge of Breakup with the 115 cabinet and using it as a pedal platform. I really find that's the best use for the way I play guitar. Most of my amps behind me are actually set the same way, Edge of Breakup. Usually change the cabinets out and then go for it. Having said that, the 212 might be your jam, or taking all the knobs and diming them all up to 10, that's totally valid as well. Depends on what you're going for, what you're trying to do. There's not really a correct answer. If you want to try the cabinets out and you don't live close by and you have a digital system at home, I actually have some free IRs in the bio. I do have a pack coming out that you can purchase. It's going to have all the different variations of this as far as mic positions and things like that. I used a Royer 121 and a Shure SM57 into some API mic preamps, and this sounds great. That's what you're hearing on the demo, actually. They're blended together perfectly in phase, all that kind of stuff. And there's actually 3 IRs in the Dropbox folder. There is one for the 115, there is one for the 212, and then there's one for my Marshall 4x12. There's no emails, there's no sign-up list. It just, I used tinyURL to shorten the URL, and it just goes straight to Dropbox. They're all free in there. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy.